Hello and welcome to Baseball Barbacast, the only baseball podcast in the world that once threw a ceremonial first pitch behind the back. I'm Jake Mintz. That's Jordan Shusterman, and there will be quite a bit of chatter about first pitches on today's podcast with our special guest.
Yes, looking forward to that. I know that we have had a couple opportunities. I'm sure we'll talk about that with Eitan, our special guest, who is trying to set a ceremonial first pitch world record. So that will be our guest segment later on today on this Wednesday edition of Baseball Barbacast. But we do have some baseball to discuss. I am in Cincinnati. I saw the Arizona Diamondbacks last night, and I will see them again today on Wednesday. You saw the New York Yankees push the Houston Astros around. Boy, did that got to feel good for the Yankees in New York. So we'll talk about what we saw with our own two eyes. And Jake, apparently what we couldn't see with our own two eyes. More on that later. But let's begin with the baseball before we get to our special guests, because it was a busy day. It's Tuesday. It's a full slate. We got a lot of teams in action, and let's start with what we were in the building for.
So I was in the building last night, Yankee Stadium, Yankees Astros. The Yankees are good. The Astros are not. About a year and a half ago, after the 2022 ALCS, in which the Houston Astros pulverized the New York Yankees in a brisk sweep. Granted, 3 of those games were one-run affairs, but it was pretty definitive. Aaron Boone expressed to the media that there was a legitimate gap in quality between the New York Yankees and the Houston Astros. The quote, I'm now paraphrasing, was something like, they're the standard, we need to catch up to where they are. Do you remember this?
I do, yeah.
Yesterday, at the pregame press conference, yours truly, Jake Mintz, I asked Aaron Boone, I said, Mr. Boone, you said this 2 years ago. Has that gap closed? Do you think that gap is closed? And now Aaron Boone is not going to sit there up on that dais, and he's not going to say the Astros are butt and we're bomb. He's not going to, that's not how these guys do things. But in so many words, he conveyed that he believed the Astros pitching right now is pretty butt. And he did so by complimenting the pitching staff of the 2022 Astros, which, by the way, that team could chuck that pill.
It sure deserved it. Yep.
But by comparison, these Astros, particularly the starting rotation, has been quite flimsy. Last night was supposed to be the stopper. It was Justin Verlander, the future Hall of Famer, the Astros' best starting pitcher, probably. You could talk to me about Framber Valdez, whatever. It was supposed to be the Astros number 1 against the Yankees number 5, Luis Gil. And instead, it was a mismatch. The Yankees kicking the snot out of Houston by a final score, I believe, of 10-3. Is that where it finished?
Yep.
I left in the 5th. A final score of 10-3 in what felt like the beginning of a funeral for the Houston Astros dynasty. Verlander allowing 3 home runs, a 3-run shot in the first to Alex Verdugo, a classic Yankee Stadium pop-up, opposite field, right field, short porch, Anthony Volpe, and Giancarlo Stanton made up for that by disintegrating a baseball, I believe 118 miles an hour off the bat, the single hardest hit ball Justin Verlander has allowed in the StatCast era in his entire StatCast career, which is a phrase that we use. As a whole, it felt very definitive. I think being around the Astros pregame, I got the sense that they still think they're good. And I think they are. I think the Astros are good. However, they have certainly dug themselves quite a hole to climb out of. They are now 11 games under 500. And yesterday's performance against New York did not feel like the beginning of a turnaround.
Yeah, and they are now all alone in last place, I believe, after the Angels beat the Pirates on Tuesday. I don't want to draw any too grand conclusions based on any single regular season game, but on the concept of the gap closing, I think what was so interesting and what we have to remember about that postseason series in 22 is that the Yankees were really good, right? And I think the gap closing, this isn't to discredit what the Yankees have accomplished, But if the gap has closed, I do think it has as much to do with the Astros coming down as the Yankees going up, right? And the Astros had been the standard for so long. And through a variety of things, some of which you can blame them for. We've talked about some of the infrastructure stuff, some of which is just a rash of injuries, right? And they're calling on guys that they didn't expect. But by the way, injuries that include Justin Verlander, who, started the season late and is still kind of settling into the season. All of those things contribute to it. But that is my interpretation, is that the gap maybe has closed, but I think it is more about the Astros coming down than everybody else rising up.
We don't make a whole lot of movie references on this show because we watch ball instead. But Mr. Shusterman, have you seen a movie called Hitch?
No, that's probably on the maybe. That's like in the range of films in terms of when it came out and like when I was watching that kind of movie, that it might have happened, but I can't. I probably won't get the reference, so go ahead.
There's a scene in Hitch where Will Smith is teaching, I believe it's Kevin James's character, how to kiss after a date. Mm-hmm. And he says, you go 90, they go 10, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I feel about the gap that's closed between the Astros and the Yankees. The Astros have kind of gone 90% of the way, and the Yankees have gone 10%. Right. I think the Yankees are better than they were last year, obviously. I don't think they were better than they were in 2022. But I think the Astros have just fallen off so abruptly and so suddenly and so completely that it's hard not to say the gap is closed, right? But I think that was on display last night.
And if we are, the last thing on this game, if we are going to zoom in on this individual game is, okay, Verlander gets smashed, whatever, that happens. Luis Gil, Marinaccio, and Michael Tonkin holding this team to 3 hits is not ideal for the Houston Astros offense. That's kind of my takeaway. I guess Jordan, I don't know why Jordan got pinch hit for.
So Jordan fouled a ball off of his kneecap, I believe, in his second at bat. It was down on the ground for a long time.
Got it.
He ended up finishing that at bat and got walked. But I would be surprised if he played today. It looked pretty.
All right. Well, that's
tough.
more good news for Houston.
Yeah.
They're in it.
They're definitely, undeniably in it. If the Yankees win today on Wednesday and have a chance for the sweep on Thursday, it will be the showing up to my haters' funeral meme to the moon.
I feel like
send the Astros 13 games under 500.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's kind of what the entire baseball internet has been kind of doing to Houston this year. Whether that's fair or not, but yeah. No, that's I mean, man, it's we talked about scenes, and this is a good transition. Well, okay, we're going to talk about Toronto here in a second, but like we talked about, on Monday, looking ahead at the series ahead for some of these teams that have been scuffling really hard, and Toronto. Well, let's just do Toronto now while we're on the bad vibes here, and then I'll circle back to Arizona. So Toronto, we were like after this weekend, we're like, oh gosh, things are not feeling good about the Blue Jays after what happened to them in DC. Now they go to Philadelphia to face the team with the best record in baseball. And, the lineup that the Phillies rolled out last night with, at the bottom, this was, I guess, the first off day for Bohm in a while. I know he had been, riding this, hitting like 500 over the last 3 weeks. The bottom of their lineup, Sosa, Clemens, Stubbs, Merrifield batting second. And Jose Barrios, who's been having a really good season, gets knocked around. He gives up a home run to Cody Clemens, who was borrowing Bryce Harper's bat. Bryce Harper hits a home run as well, who was also borrowing Bryce Harper's bat. I don't know. I assume Bryce Harper was not borrowing somebody else's bat. Phillies win 10-1. They're 26-11. Jays fall to 16-20. And yeah, it's not going great for the Jays.
I want to draw the comparison back to the Astros game for a second, because when you have your best starter on the mound, it is, and you're struggling as a team, there's an energy that's like, oh, well, he's a stopper and he'll stop the flow. We're good today. And, managers will parrot this narrative. But then when that doesn't go well and your dude gets crushed and then you're left staring at the wreckage and you're like, oh, well, I guess that's the best guy we have, right? It is very humbling, and I always like to see how teams bounce back from that. Barrios, 3 2/3, 7 hits, 8 runs. 8 earned. That is not a good day at the ball yard. Christopher Sanchez was excellent. I mean, the Phillies are really, really good. They have played nobody so far this season. It's been quite a cakewalk for them. But Cody Clemens, man, that's Roger Clemens' number one boy.
Yeah. So also Barrios still, getting 7 strikeouts in less than 4 innings. But what really stands out to me about this, first of all, also Spencer Turnbull pitching in relief. This was in a blowout. This is a guy who had one of the best ERAs of any starting pitcher in baseball. It seems like they're going to transition him to a bullpen role with Taijuan Walker coming back and looking pretty okay. So credit to Taijuan Walker as he rejoins the Phillies rotation. But yeah, in Toronto, we got to do a brief tangent on the concept of a stopper, because the stopper is a phrase that you sometimes hear in a bullpen context, right? Like one of my favorite phrases from the college baseball world that our friend Mike Rooney loves to use, which I just love this, and we should bring this more into the MLB vocab, is the moment of truth reliever. that's what Mike Rooney calls it, the moment of truth reliever, which is whatever, high leverage, whatever you want to say, stopper. But I just, there's something so funny about the term stopper for a starter. We need this starter to be a stopper today. Well, what are we stopping?
Because you would think that starting and stopping are opposite words.
Yeah.
They literally mean different things, starting and stopping. Yeah. So when your starter is the stopper, it does make my brain feel like a pretzel. I will say, to me, it's more about stopping the bleeding. Yeah. I view... Yeah. Right, Justin Verlander, in the context he was supposed to be yesterday, is kind of like gauze. Yep. Right. Yep. He's a suture.
Yep. Yeah, but that's the thing. To your point before, then what happens when he doesn't? When it's
then
like,
you're dead.
Whoops.
Then you bleed out.
And then what happens when? Unfortunately, Justin Verlander did not get the memo that he was supposed to be stopping, not starting yesterday.
Well, he was supposed to be starting and stopping, which again, that's confusing for a simple-minded person like myself. The Blue Jays are in bad straits. We've mentioned this before. George Springer, 579 OPS. Bo Bichette, 514.
Oh, what is going on?
Alejandro Kirk, 582. Kevin Kiermaier, 520. Yeah. They've got a bunch of OPSs that look like slugging percentages.
Listen, we already said this on Monday. We need to come out with some Fire City Connects as soon as possible, because otherwise the Rays are going to be skating right past you in the standings and not looking back.
Barry one. Toronto, Houston. Barry one in your head. Barry a team. Do it.
Okay. Well, right. We already buried the Cardinals on Monday, and that hasn't gotten any better since then. So look,
dude, there's 30 teams, and we have to think about all of them. So
I know.
The sooner I can cross a team off the list.
Again, whether I'm actually giving this team a 0, like if I have to pick one that I think is actually doomed as far as like making the postseason, I guess it's still Toronto. I think it is Toronto because of the division, right? They're obviously not in as deep of a. Well, I guess they are. Their record isn't nearly as bad. But standings wise, Houston is 8 games back. Toronto is 7.5 games back. So they're both similarly, but there's more likely to be an opportunity for Houston to climb back in than I think it is for Toronto. And so I think Toronto is I'm more concerned in that way. But it's close. They're both.
Yeah. Look, we are not advocates for anyone losing their jobs. However, for Jay's manager John Schneider, the underpants are getting picante. The chair is getting steamy. Okay, it's getting wobbly over there.
John, Barrios, but he struggled. But are your underpants starting to feel a little warm, John? Jake Mintz with Yahoo Sports.
Jake Mintz, Yahoo Sports. Are your underpants feeling warm, John? Thank you. And a follow-up. A follow-up. What is the general temperature of the chair you're in when you sit down? Is it warm?
No, but as you know, what is 50%, particularly pregame?
Yeah.
More than 50%. What is most of the pregame scrum? Oh, how's this guy that's injured doing?
Yeah. How are you doing? No one ever asks the manager how they're doing. It's always how are your players doing? No one wants to check in with the manager. Okay. How's your mental, John? Okay. How's your mental?
Bo Bichette, Jake, has a 5 .314 OPS. All Bo Bichette has done in his career is hit. He has been a hit machine as a big leaguer to a degree that the fact that I am looking at him hitting 189 in the beginning of May is staggering. Almost the middle of May is very concerning. Now, we've had a lot of really good players that have been struggling over this first month. And at some point, you have to trust that the talent within and the drive and the understanding of oneself as a hitter will eventually win out. And that appears to be what is happening with one Corbin Carroll, who last night took a 96-mile-an-hour fastball from left-hander Justin Wilson above the zone and hit a screaming line drive over the left center field fence. It is one of those swings that, as Torey Lovullo said after the game, a lot has to go right in your swing to hit a pitch like that over the fence. And as Corbin Carroll talked about after the game, and I'm going to write about that today, he's been working it. He's been going through it. As we know, the numbers are not pretty. There have been some clear, okay, this is what he's struggling with. But he has been very intentional with what he has been trying to fix. He has reflected on what he was working on this offseason and how it did or didn't help him. And now we are starting to see him come out of it. The numbers are still not pretty, but Lovullo put him in the leadoff spot last night, and he hits a 3-run homer. He's got 5 RBIs, a couple hits, and this is much, much, much needed. Arizona has had a very imbalanced offense this year. They're also in something of a hole. Their starting pitching has generally done its job, but it was really nice to see Corbin Carroll get a swing there, and it was cool to hear him kind of reflect on getting to that point, because it has been a process. No guarantee he could still scuffle, but I like what I was seeing, and which is to say, I hope that Bichette is going through that process now too, and that he can come out of it for Toronto.
I had concerns when I met and talked to Corbin Carroll for the first time that he was too smart to be a good big leaguer. I think to be a good big league hitter, you have to be a little stupid, because you have to have an irrational self-confidence, and you can't overthink things. You have to be able to analyze what's going wrong without letting it consume you. And you sent me the interview that Carroll gave about the mechanical adjustments he's been making that he gave after the game yesterday. And I thought the way he talked about it was the perfect combo of smart and dumb, where at some points he's saying things like, my hinge is here and I have to work on my bat angle and I need to think about my vertical attack, blah, 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 like smart guy stuff. And then sometimes he just is like, I'm just going through it, right? Just trying to get better every day. And so to me, that is the perfect combo of these two things from a mentality standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, it's not, I appreciated his candor last night. Of course, we always want players to be honest and give us their insight. They're not obligated.
Not me. Lie to me, baby. Lie to me.
They're not obligated to be as detailed as Corbin was last night, but it definitely gave some interesting stuff to dig into. And yeah, again, it's like we said, any game, you don't want to say, all right, well, there he is. Now he's fixed. Now he'll go back to being, an all-star and one of the best players in baseball. It's possible he will, but that is something that it can make a difference. And that one swing like that, I feel like a baseball cliche is, you just got to see a ball, fall. You just got to see it, hit grass, touch grass, as they say, right?
Find the garden.
Yeah, right. It's just like, once you see a couple hits fall, then it's going to start going. It's like, that's one side of the baseball cliche spectrum. But the more compelling one is, it's like, man, like if you can put a swing on like that, that's where it's like, it is working. That is what we are trying to accomplish, because no one is trying, unless you're Luis Ariz, no one is trying to bloop balls in front of outfielders, right? It's nice when it happens. That's not the goal. And so when Corbin can kind of hit a real rocket to left center like that off a lefty was really, really impressive. So good for him. The Reds offense continues to stink. They now have the lowest batting average in baseball. I think I said that on Monday, but it certainly didn't get any better last night against Gallen. And today we've got Jordan Montgomery on the hill. I know he has not been great in his first starts with Arizona. That would be really big if Arizona can kind of get him going again, because as I think having been around Lovullo a lot last year, he will relish if people want to doubt his team.
Oh my God, he will find that doubt. Lovullo loves doubt. Do not give him a reason to not believe. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
That-
So
being around them in October is
Mhm.
incredible. It'd be like,
Mhm.
well, Bryce Harper got a hit. He doesn't think we can get him out.
So listen, if you're a Jays fan listening to this, like, what is all this? Why are you being so nice to the D-backs when the Blue Jays and D-backs have the same record? And yeah, that's true. D-backs have the same record. They're in a big hole too. But this is a baseball podcast where we react to what we just saw and don't care about anything else. So sorry, deal with it.
2 more quick things before we hop on out and interview Eitan Levine. One, Wilson Contreras, brutal injury, 6 to 8 weeks on the shelf. More bad news for the Cardinals. Ivan Herrera has been very good for them behind the dish this year. Excited to watch him play more, but Contreras has been that team's best hitter. And for a lineup that's just been going through it, losing him is a big, big deal. And then the other thing, NL Central was spicy last night with the Cubs almost blowing it. They were up 1-0 all game, not scoring any runs for Shota Imanaga. Imanaga allows a 2-run homer. It's the first run I think he's given up since the Nixon administration on a 2-run bomb from Jerks and Profar, who has been amazing. Cubs come back. Walk-off home run. Michael Busch in the rain at Wrigley. First pitch at the bottom of the 9th. W flag on the field. Fans going nuts. Go Cubs go. Blasting over the speakers. It was love. Is Go Cubs Go good?
I'm very pro Go Cubs Go. And by the way, like Imanaga has, after kind of introducing himself to the Cubs fans by declaring Go Cubs Go at his presser, like he's really given that song some extra life, especially in a start like that, where he does his job and then finally Busch kind of saves it later.
So I think Go Cubs Go is the perfect earworm. It is so accessible for a casual fan in a positive way. Mm-hmm. So my beautiful, wonderful, lovely fiance, who 2 weeks ago asked me, and I quote, "How do fans feel when games end in ties?" She asked me this. And I said, "What do you mean?"
About baseball games.
About baseball. She said, like when the games are ties, do people not like that? And I said, they wouldn't. And then she said, "Oh, right, that's soccer." Yesterday, I had the Cubs game on, Michael Busch walk-off. They play Go Cubs Go, and she's singing along. Like that is the perfect level of accessibility for a fan. Go Cubs Go bops.
Yeah.
I have no other notes.
I agree.
Brewers, similarly great win at Kansas City, top of the 9th, down to their last out, down 2 runs. Willie Adames at the plate, 3-run bomb. And did you see the story about the Royals fans were giving him some stick on the on-deck circle? Being like, they were like, "We want Willie, we want Willie." And he was like, "You sure?" Oops. And then after he homered, he came by and high-fived all of the Royals fans.
It was great. So on brand. I love
it. It was
Willie.
So Midwest too. Yeah. Like the Royals fans stayed and took pictures with Willie Adames in the losing effort. Right. And that's Willie basically said that in the postgame. He was like, "Yeah, that would never happen in New York or anything."
And I love that too, because while obviously it's a tough loss for Kansas City, Royals are good. You can afford a loss like that. Like that was like 2 good ball clubs hammering it out. That's fine. That's great. But yeah, and also, so, NL Central is right. Cardinals obviously lose. I talked about what happened with the Reds, and the Pirates just getting waxed by the Angels at home. So that's unfortunate, but we'll see. Yeah.
If Paul Skeens is going to make his debut this weekend, we need that news today.
I have a feeling it's going to drop after we record, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not pitching this weekend. Anyway, anything else from you? But also, like the Wilson Contreras injury. No, I mean, it was that's a whole other conversation is how it happened, which is JD Martinez swinging the bat at a pitch. Like this is not a backswing situation. Like Contreras just kind of reached a little bit too far. He was a little bit too eager to catch the ball. And really bad, really, really unfortunate. And you kind of knew immediately, which sucked. Last thing, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll bring on Eitan. What a win for the Seattle Mariners after kind of an embarrassing. Oh, wait, 2 more things. Sorry. What a win for the Seattle Mariners. Cal Raleigh with a go-ahead grand slam. They kind of then they give up the lead. They win it then later. Offense, what a showing for the offense finally, I guess, in some ways, to score that many runs. I didn't know they were allowed to score double-digit runs. That's news to me. And yeah, Cal Raleigh now has 5 home runs from the right side of the plate. He had 7 in his career coming into this season. That's nuts. Like it has been a heavy split for his switch hitting numbers from both sides, and he has been a force as a right-handed hitter this year, which only makes him even better. He's one of the best catchers in baseball, and that is how he deserves to be treated. Last thing, Jake, the Washington Nationals are over 500 for the first time in 3 years, and Trevor Williams has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. It makes me happy because Trevor's a friend, but holy shit. I'm just going to say. Not only this, Trevor, who allowed more home runs than any National League pitcher last year, has now allowed 0 home runs through his first 7 starts. Him and Reese Olson are at the top of the Why Haven't You Allowed a Homer Yet leaderboard. Both of them have faced over 140 batters this year without allowing a long ball. I
would argue with Trevor, it's how haven't you allowed a homer yet? Because this dude, I think a lot of it is good fortune.
Sure.
That he hasn't allowed a homer yet. Yeah. That is the case with everybody. But he was a freaking pitching machine at points last year.
And Trevor's talked about, like, he knows, like, I throw 89. So I got to do anything I can to make sure that it doesn't look like it's 89. And he's found the right pitch mix, and he has credited, we know the Nationals pitching development is not exactly the one to celebrate and say, look at these guys, they know what they're doing. He has very specifically said, bringing Sean Doolittle onto the staff has made a huge difference for me. That is awesome. That is a really, really cool story. And probably, listen, I mean, Sean Doolittle can't save the Nationals pitching, but the Nats are solid, man.
He can't save it,
but he's certainly helping.
Help it. Now, one guy who could maybe use Sean Doolittle for some pitching development is Eitan Levine. Our guest on this episode of Baseball Barbacast. Eitan is trying to break the Guinness World Record for most first pitches thrown in a year, 50. He's going around to minor league baseball stadiums to do so. He is, and I feel comfortable saying this, incredibly Jewish. And all of those things combined are very much up our alley. So we will be right back to talk to Eitan Levine, probably about Judaism and definitely about baseball.
And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. We now welcome our special guest who is trying to set a world record this year, Eitan Levine. Welcome to Baseball Barbacast.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm coming to you live from South Bend. I'm currently in South Bend Stadium to set this record. Like you said, I'm going to be breaking the record for most ceremonial first pitches thrown over the year. 50 first pitches. We're doing this to raise money for Make-A-Wish. In exactly 1 hour, I will be throwing out pitch number 5 at the South Bend Cubs. Thus far, I've done the Hartford Yard Goats, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the Nashville Sounds. This week alone, I'm doing the South Bend Cubs, the Joliet Slammers, which was just bought by Bill Murray, the Windy City Thunderbolts tomorrow, the Chicago Dogs on Sunday. We have 45 or 46 already booked, and of that, we have like 10 Major League, which is super fun. The ones I can officially announce are the Mets, A's, the White Sox, the Giants, the Guardians, and the Twins, the Brewers. The Twins, by the way, July 4th. Check that out. So it's insane what this project has become.
So I have 1,000 questions. I just want to start off and say, if you throw a strike for the White Sox, they might sign you on the spot. I mean,
So the unfortunate reality is that the way that there's a set of rules for this, right? So Guinness, because this is approved and this is a record with Guinness, they said that it cannot be a professional player. I have to be unrelated to the team. Ooh. So I'm throwing out the pitch, but then the next day, the White Sox said I could middle relieve an inning if I wanted to.
I see. So once you, I totally understand. But it feels like kind of a catch-22 because if the White Sox offer you a contract, you kind of got to take that. But then you've done all this work for nothing. So, I mean, that's kind of a Sophie's choice. We can get there when we get there.
Listen, let me just say, as the White Sox, they offered me a position to throw a pitch, like to do that. And super kind. So I will say one of the best baseball teams in the world. So
top 30.
Top 30. Yeah, top 30. Easily top.
Indisputably.
Easily top 35.
It depends on... are the SoftBank Hawks having a good year over the NPB?
Yeah.
That is a real question. So, Eitan, my first pregunta for you is why? Is why are you doing this?
One, as always, this is all just to avoid law school, a feat that I have really perfected over the past couple of years. Last year I was on an Amazon show. I had a sports show on Amazon's network that it famously exploded. Like, the network doesn't exist anymore. But I've always done these weird stunty kind of things. My jobs have always been about branded content and doing like weird, the job I did right before this was at Storage Mart, bought Manhattan Mini Storage, and was like, oh, let's put a bunch of stand-up clubs into these storage units and we'll perform in there and stuff like that. So I have a resume of doing like odd, weird, big projects like this.
You love a bit.
So it's always for the bit. And then last year, so I've actually thrown out 3 first pitches historically before, this project. And a lot of that came from the fact that I have a very big TikTok following doing Jewish content, doing a lot of man on the street things. So a lot of these baseball teams, they have Jewish Heritage Days. So one time they brought me, so I did the Lake County Captain's Jewish Heritage Day. Actually, what was funny about that was that I took a video wearing a Portland Pickles shirt, and the guy, they're owned by the same ownership group. So someone from that team saw this and then they contacted me to do that. So last year I did this thing with Lake County Captains where, on the broadcast, if you watch baseball, with the pitcher's back is to you and the batter and the catcher. And then there's always people in the stands. So they let me do a bunch of sketches where I had Horatio, the Lake County Captains, like Seagull mascot, lighting a menorah and just holding it like in frame in the back. At one point during the broadcast, it shows a toucan holding a Torah scroll.
Oh my gosh. What an achievement.
Which was great.
Wow. So Rambam could have never have imagined how far we come.
Rambam, thank you, ma'am.
We have gotten to throw out a few first pitches, and we are always tempted to make it, why would I just lob one in there? That's no fun, right? So, Jake did a behind the back when we did one back in 2015. I tried to do like a perfect full ephus, like full toss, like throw it as high as possible and still have it land be a strike. Is there wiggle room for that? Are you planning on kind of working in some interesting elements to your first pitch?
Or are you just trying to fill up the zone?
Yeah, you're just playing it straight and making sure you complete the task.
I will say the first couple has been getting it over and not bouncing it. That's, you got to walk before you run. And I have been walking very, very at a nice pace of getting it just over the plate. That ephus, by the way, is my default pitch at this point. So it does, arc. I don't have that great of an arm. My arm is good. Like I can get it over, when I throw from the mound and stuff like that. There is a plan. I don't want to say anything too much yet, but we are going to be screwing around with these pitches a little bit, and there's another record I found yesterday on Guinness about highest first pitch. And that may be something that I want to attempt. I want to also, I called the Savannah Bananas, and I had a conversation with the Savannah Bananas, and the Savannah Bananas were like, this is great, we like what you're doing, but we throw out a first banana. So I had to then go back into, Guinness's rules that they sent me and see if I could, throw a banana and if that would count. The answer is yes. It technically does count. So I'm still Savannah Bananas. And then they didn't answer my email afterwards. So the Savannah Bananas, if you're out there, answer my freaking email. And then they let Kim Mulkey do it. So she threw out a first pitch. So
that's okay. Hey, listen. As long as
we gotta get you in the Washington Post first, and then we'll
you got enough on the calendar. But that's good to know. I'm excited to see how creative you get with this again, because that's what's cool. Because for us, the few times we've gone to do it, you want to mess around, and we've done that. But also, when you only have one or two chances, you want to at least not totally embarrass yourself. But you've got some wiggle room here. It sounds like you're going to have a lot of opportunity. Clearly, a lot of opportunities.
And Gronk spiked it. I thought that was great. I will say I have a conspiracy theory that Dr. Fauci threw the pitch bad on purpose because it would have been. I would not have trusted the vaccine if he lasered it down.
Ooh.
Knowing
see your point.
He's like a frail, old man.
Wow,
him chucking it to the left to me was like it is
good.
Moderna.
Right. The vaccine has not altered his biochemistry.
Yeah.
Right?
The last thing I would want is jacked Fauci.
Right. That's truly, truly horrifying. I have one last question for you, and it is about the stadium you are currently at. Now, you do a shtick that I love called Jewish or anti-Semitic, and the South Bend Cubs gift store in left field is a former synagogue. Jordan and I have been there multiple times. It is repurposed as like a historic synagogue. And if you're Jewish and you walk into the gift shop, you immediately know that the bones of the place are a synagogue. So my question for you, Eitan, the synagogue gift store in South Bend, Indiana, Jewish or anti-Semitic?
So Jewish, but the gift shop itself, I will say, is insanely Jewish. That's so funny. And that's also so baseball. Jews and baseball, it's been a thing for us for years and years, thousands of generations,
thousands of years.
Since the Talmudic era, we've been playing this. Rabbi Doubleday. But so, the answer is like, as a Jew, it is what it is. Where like Jews have a connection to baseball, whether it's the fact that there's a lot of accounting work that happens, whether it's the fact that we like, rules and strictness and stuff like that. It's always been like a piece of, of my life and everything. And, and what has been fun about this project also, I will say, is that going to all these stadiums have such interesting quirks. Like we went to the Hartford Yard Goats. They have literal live yard goats there. We went to the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp Stadium. That stadium is stunning. And they're adding like a full third tier. Hadlock Field, where the Portland Sea Dogs play.
We've been there, yep.
Beautiful. It's a mini Wrigley, and what I love about Portland, Maine in general is that the Sea Dogs play next to the Celtics G League team, and that G League stadium and that Sea Dog stadium is about a 7 to 10 minute walk from where the Bruins minor league hockey team plays. Oh. So it's essentially Dollywood for, Boston sports fans. And, what's been incredible about doing this project is I'm getting to go to all of these different stadiums and kind of experience the quirks of it. I love minor league baseball. Years ago, I wrote a pilot just by going to Cyclones games and typing, bringing my laptop with me and writing, a pilot there. And it's been, I love minor league baseball. It's so pure and fun. And right now, not to get mushy about it, we're in an era where it's very divisive. Everyone's pissed off at each other in America. We're heading into an election year. These minor league stadiums are one of the last bastions of like, hey, everyone, let's get along. It's about the fun. And in America, there just ain't much of that left. And I love it here. USA, baby.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother.
Maybe you've heard of it, freedom and liberty.
Freedom and liberty. So I just the South Bend gift store. When I first walked in, I was like, "This is uncomfortable." They have repurposed the synagogue to sell tchotchkes, and then I did some research and I learned that had they not done that, they would have torn it down. And there is nothing more anti-Semitic than tearing down a synagogue. And so for that reason, I deem that gift store incredibly Jewish. Jordan Shusterman, do you have any final questions for our guest?
Eitan, where can people follow your journey? Thank you. This has been great to get some insight, but where can people follow over the next few months?
Totally. 51stpitches.com. So we're doing this all to raise money for Make-A-Wish. You can donate there. On my Instagram itself, Eitan the Goalie. We're going to be putting up all the stuff, as we go along on these journeys. We're going to start putting out video content very soon. There's a documentary crew that is following me through this process. So at the end of this 6-month, journey, there is going to be like a thing made with it, which I'm super excited about. What that is yet, we don't know, because this is essentially 50 shoot days and thousands of terabytes of gigabytes of footage that at the end I'm pretty sure we're going to have something great with.
Awesome.
Great.
All right. Well, Eitan, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And good luck today. I guess you got to go. You got to go throw this first pitch.
Yeah, I got to go. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Make sure you throw strikes.
What do you want me to do today for the pitch? Any requests?
I want you to throw it as hard as you can right down the middle.
Yeah.
Throw it hard as I can. I will do
Today, because it is Education Day, and I'll do this in front of the kids, I will throw as hard as I can this one for you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't blow out. You got a lot of pitches left. All right. Thank you, Eitan.
Yeah. And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman. Jordan, if you had 5 good days in a row, would you change your outfit? The Tampa Bay Rays are not. They are not changing their outfit. They are 5-0 since putting on the Cine Connect uniforms for the first time. And it appears that they are just going to continue wearing them until they lose.
I love this. Now listen, it helps when you got the White Sox coming to town, exacting revenge on the Southsiders who swept them in Chicago earlier this season, but this has worked out quite well. I mean, this is a nice little homestand they've got. After the White Sox, they've got the Yankees coming to town. And if they beat the White Sox and sweep the Sox today, wearing the City Connects again, hell yeah, they're wearing. Are you? Of course, I think they'd be wearing them on Friday anyway. I think that was the original plan. Now they're not going to take them off. The question is, will we take them to Boston and Toronto on the trip afterwards? I hope so if they haven't lost by now. But I know what you wanted to talk about here is just the logistics here, because this is probably a tough laundry assignment for the Rays clubhouse attendants.
Yeah, having to wear the same uniforms every day, I mean, that's a lot of laundry, baby. And the players aren't doing that. It's the clubby's job. And so quick turnarounds there. Often you will see when it comes to laundry, teams, when they play day games, will not wear the same uniform tops that they wear that night before.
Yep.
That's not an accident.
Yeah.
And if the Rays keep winning, that's just a load that the clubbies are going to have to shoulder. I mean, that's what winning baseball is all about. Wearing them against the Yankees, a team that is too precious to even have City Connects uniforms, is a showdown of fun and seriousness that I hope ends up with Skatey Ray taking all 3 W's.
Yeah.
It's been quite the stretch for Evan Longoria, for Shred McGriff, for Gnarl Crawford. Skatey Ray is the truth.
Yeah, it's a great point about the contrast between the Yankees buttoned up road grays that we'll see this weekend.
Our old road uniforms were too ornate. We had to get rid of the white trim. They do look better.
I just love this. It's gone exactly as I could have hoped, but they will have to certainly prove it against a team that is not the Chicago White Sox. And I like their chances. On the topic of City Connects, Jake, let's just get this out of the way. We did get another drop earlier this week, courtesy of the Detroit Tigers.
Growing on me like a fungus. Starting to like these more every time I see them.
Tell me about your thoughts. So the Tigers, Motor City. Can you believe they went with Motor City?
I actually can. So I don't know how much time you've spent in Detroit.
Not as much as you. So.
When you go to Detroit, you think that the car stuff, the car motif, is something that people from the outside see about Detroit. It is not just that. Like, it truly is. It's more than a stereotype. You move around Detroit, and the amount of people driving American-made vehicles compared to, you just like don't see Toyotas to the same proportion that you would see in like every other American city. It really is a staple of that place. And so while it does feel somewhat cliche for someone on the outside, these are growing on me for a couple of reasons. I think the black and blue is cool. I think we need just enough dark colored pants, please. Like these with white pants would be good.
Yeah.
A couple other things.
Maybe a team will pivot and go like super bright pants at some point, and everyone will hate those too.
I really like the patch on the side of the uniform with the Michigan State sign. I like the tire treads. I love the logo of the eyes of the blue tiger that are supposed to look like headlights.
Oh, wow. I don't even know. Okay, yeah. But where is that on the jersey? Is it on the jersey or is that just... It's kind of like the Skate Ray. It's like one of the alts. Like it's not.
Yeah. It's like down on the bottom of it.
Oh yeah.
However, the hat is just horrible. All it says is Detroit.
Yeah.
It looks like something you would buy at an airport gift shop.
It feels like It feels like they spent a lot of time on the jersey and they're like, oh, right, baseball players wear hats. Because they have the best. I mean, we got to make a hat. Like, this is due tomorrow. Like, what are we going to do? Just put Detroit on it and call it. Make the font a little bit different. Throw that Detroit in italics and let's ride.
So I love, because at the very end of the video they released, there is a 2-second clip of Eminem, Detroit's very own, watching, like, in the new Motor City top with another version of Motor City that says Mathers on the back, right? In the background. But he's not wearing the hat. Like, Eminem's not wearing the Detroit hat. Okay, so he knows his butt. I think they got to fix the hat. Other than that, I think these are pretty solid and they'll sell well.
Yeah. It almost
but finally,
feels like...
we have a uniform that really like embodies the essence of the city. You know what I mean? That captures the grit, grind, and passion and perseverance of the people.
Wait, you're not gonna hold on. You're not going to believe this, Jake, but it's actually it's us against everyone. So
this city against
this city against everybody else.
You know what I need?
Yeah.
I need a city disconnect uniform, and that's for New York. It would be the Hudson Valley or a Hamptons themed uniform. I need to disconnect from this city and
like
get
the
out.
Boston one is like Cape Cod.
The DC one is Shenandoah. City disconnect uniforms for vacation.
I just, again, like, can we just quickly, 2024, we have like another 5 or 6 of these that we're getting this year.
These are great. I think that these exist is wonderful. MLB, we just didn't have fun uniform stuff for forever, and now we get every week we're getting something goofy.
We're still going to get Cleveland. We're still going to get Toronto. We're still going to get St. Louis. And
St. Louis is going to be nap time.
Minnesota, and we are still going to get the new Dodgers one.
Do you think Minnesota has enough time to do a sausage themed one, like a scratch and sniff?
They're like, wait, they go back to the designers. Whoa, hold on, wait. Can we please do this? They're like, we just missed the deadline. So.
Dang. No.
All right, Jake. 2 more topics before we say goodbye. The first thing probably should be in our good, bad, ugly this week, but we cannot wait. We've already talked about it on our college baseball show over with our friend Steven Schock. But I'm sorry I couldn't reveal this to you on Baseball Barbecast, but I couldn't wait. Our producer, Andrew Hartz, when we said, hey, Andrew, we want to talk about this softball 20-inning game. And he's like, what? Well, Mr. Hartz, take a gander at this here box score, because earlier this week in the Division III NJAC New Jersey Athletic Conference tournament, Rowan University faced off against the College of New Jersey. And Emily McCutcheon, the starting pitcher, the starter, not the stopper.
No relation.
Too good.
No
they
relation.
Need a stopper. No relation to Andrew, spelled differently as well. Emily McCutcheon threw 20 scoreless innings. Jake.
20.
Emily McCutcheon threw 20 scoreless innings, 230 pitches. She faced 77 batters, only 6 strikeouts, only 5 walks, 11 hits allowed, 3 hit by pitches, 33 groundouts and 18 flyouts. 33 groundouts. Incredible infield work for the Rowan.
Keeps
props.
the infield engaged, man.
This is just an unbelievable performance. I was very eager to see. Now, what was so interesting about this game is that you think, in softball, sometimes these teams only have one good pitcher, and so it makes sense that they stuck with Emily. No, because Riley Lutz has had a great season for the Rowan softball team as their number 2 pitcher. Why couldn't we get Riley some work in this game? I guess Emily was working so efficiently. I wondered, would Emily be back out there on Tuesday for their second game of the conference tournament? No, Riley takes the ball, throws a shutout in 7 innings over Kane. They now move on to the later rounds of this tournament, where I imagine Emily will take the ball again on Friday. But 20 scoreless innings, Jake, is just so incredible. I think my favorite thing, just digging into this box score, is the idea.
I don't think I've ever thrown 20 scoreless innings total. Not even in a row, but over the course of my life.
Of your life, as Jake Scott throwing scoreless innings. The box score, like, poor Julia Mayernick, the catcher for TCNJ, going 0 for 8 against the same pitcher in one game. Like, that's
all right. I'm seeing her. I'm seeing her.
Yeah, we're on her. Like, we're hitting some ball. Like, it's the 15th. It's the 16th. It's the 17th. Oh, man, it's so great. Softball's the best. And this is the thing. It's like, what do we want pitchers to go deeper into games? Emily's like, I got you. Don't even worry about it.
And she's coming back out for the 17th.
She's only at 200 pitches.
She threw 3 1/3 softball games in this softball game.
Not cool. No, that's bad math. Softball is 7 innings, Jake, not 6. But it's okay.
No, I know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
7
Yeah.
times 3. Yeah, it's okay. Almost 3. She almost went 3 CG Shuddy in the same day in the conference tournament. Anyway, shouts out to Emily. You are my hero. Jake,
Emily McCutcheon, if you're listening to this, come on the pod. I want to know everything. How are you? Are you okay?
I assume she'll pitch this weekend, and we have got our eyes on Row and see how far Emily can carry this prof squad in the tournament. All right, Jake. We have one more topic.
Yeah.
Before we say goodbye.
Yeah.
Let's save Sam Haggerty's clothing line for Friday.
As we do.
If you're like, what are you talking about? Save it for Friday. Jake, you were at the game last night, and you had an experience that I certainly can relate to, although not in quite some time. Tell me what happened.
So I'm sitting in that press box, and I'm staring out at the Jumbotron in the outfield, trying to see how many pitches Justin Verlander has thrown, because I knew it was a lot because he was getting mushed. And I couldn't really make out the number on the board. I'm just doing some squinting.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I was like, what is that? And I turned to friend of the show, Matthew Ritchie of MLB.com, who's sitting next to me. And I said, I think I need glasses. And he goes, yeah, you squint a lot.
Was Richie wearing his glasses?
He was wearing his glasses.
Yeah.
He was like, you squint a lot. And I said, I do. And so I made an appointment. About an hour from now, I got to head over to the eye doctor. Going to stare at some tiny little letters and find out just how bad my vision is. I think I am fine. I think I'll be a great glasses guy. I think I'll crush it. However, I don't know if our podcast can endure with 2 glasses guys. You're the glasses guy. You embody glasses.
That's true.
I don't. I'm the jock. You're the brain. We have our roles. Yeah. And I am sorry that my body has let us down.
It's okay. So contacts are a thing.
No.
And you can't lose them as easily as you can lose glasses,
Jordan,
which you will definitely do.
Jordan, I'm going to impale my iris if I use contacts. I'm going to end up spilling the fluid everywhere. There's going to be contacts lying around my home. I'm going to get baseball dirt in them. Long
way to go. Long way to go in this eye journey for you. But again, this being the origin is appropriate because this is literally what happened to me 10 years ago. I remember on our first road trip.
I remember.
Or actually it might have been earlier. No, I think it was. I mean, it's definitely in high school, but like it was like going to minor league games, especially where we're not in press boxes. We don't have like the scoreboard was really the main source of information, in 2013. And I was stubborn then, but not for very long because I was like, it's cool being able to see. And so I was like, let's do something about that. I think the funniest outcome possible here is that you go to the eye doctor and you find out that your vision is worse than mine and has been for a while. I think that.
What is the scale there?
We can talk about that once you get some information. We're not going to do that on the show.
Okay.
but we'll see. We'll see. Storyline to watch. Thank you for
me not to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you though. This is good. All right. Well, that is a storyline to watch, Jake. Jake's vision. We will maybe get an update on that on Friday. But until then, thank you all for listening to this Wednesday edition of Baseball Barbecast. Thank you to Andrew Hartz for producing. Thank you to Eitan for joining us. As a special guest, you can email us at baseballbarbecast@gmail.com, and we will talk to you later this week.
Good thing you don't need good eyesight to listen to a podcast.